So today on our show, we've got Jenny Isaacs, the director of Heart to Heart, and we're going to get to know her a little bit and ask a few questions to understand her motivations. So Jenny, what motivated you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. What motivated you to start Heart to Heart?
Well, first I should say, I didn't start Heart to Heart, but I was part of the team that got it going back in 2011, which was a really great experience for me. And I think what brought me into the work of Heart to Heart was growing up in Hashomer Hatzair and at Camp Shomria. And as a Jewish person myself who's from Canada, part of my education growing up was around Israel and feeling connected with what's happening over there. And for me, that connection has always been closely linked with a need to be part of making it a better, more equitable and just society, and working towards solidarity between Jews and Palestinians, and trying to build a future in which both peoples can express their rights to self-determination. And I'm a firm believer in the power of youth. So a program like Heart to Heart, which brings Jewish and Palestinian citizens of Israel who are about 14 and 15 years old together to be having those conversations and developing their leadership skills and building close relationships, felt like a great way that, you know, I, as a person living in Canada, could have a tangible impact on reality on the ground over there.
All right, well, that sounds wonderful. So why did you choose the model for Heart to Heart? You've got a model where the children come together or the youth come together, they start working in Israel, then they come and then they go through an educational curriculum for 3 weeks, and then they come to Toronto, and then they go back and they continue to work together in Israel and continue to remain connected. What was it about the model that stood out to you, and can you talk a little bit more about the benefits of this model?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thank you. So I think there's something really valuable to getting outside of your context. Back at home for our participants, so they all live in the same geographic area in Israel. They're all neighbors living 20, 30 minutes away from one another, but their realities are very divided. So they have a geographic shared society, but not a social shared society. And so the types of conversations that we're able to have once the youth are in Canada are really hard to have back home. There's a lot of pressure to kind of, stick to an adversarial type of conversation. And so and there's also a lot of distractions, like cell phones and friends and family and all of those things. But when we bring the kids over to Canada for the summer, it just kind of shakes things up and provides a bit of a more neutral platform where they have an easier time getting into the really critical conversations that they need to be having about identity and narratives and history and politics and structural inequality and all of the things that are really part of their day-to-day lives, but that can sometimes be hard to talk about when you're just getting together in a school classroom or in a conference campus, and then knowing that you're going back home that night. So it gives us kind of the time and space to really get into it, and then what we find is that the participants are able to translate that when they go back home because they've experienced it, so they feel like, okay, this is possible, and then when they go back home, it becomes a little bit easier to keep it going.
Okay, so you spoke about how they have a geographic shared society, but not a social shared society. Why is a social shared society important? Why are you working towards a shared society in Israel? Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of importance to building a more shared society. I'd say another benefit of doing the program here in Canada is the way that, although there are still things to be improved, though Canada presents a different model around diversity, inclusion, and multiculturalism. And I think I think we have a better, more vibrant, more interesting world when people can come together from different backgrounds and work together to come to shared solutions. And in that context in particular, because it's often not an equitable society between Jews and Palestinians, it's really important that we get there by coming together. That's, I think, the only way to really fix the issue.
So Jenny, thank you for those answers. This sounds like the beginning to a much larger conversation that is undoubtedly going to go on for a long time. And we're so grateful for the information and the thoughts that you shared with us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.